In the NBA, you have to pretend that Bronny's an NBA player because otherwise you'll upset the king. And remember, he is a 6'2 guard that's a non-point guard. I've never seen that existing in the current NBA.
The only reason that Bronny James is a Laker is because his father wants him to be a Laker. Just say it. Don't pretend like, well, he earned this. He didn't earn anything.
Bronny James, he's 7 for 28 in 4 preseason games from the field. He's 2 for 13, I believe, from three-point range. He's got 8 assists and 8 turnovers. He's moving into year 2. This guy is not an NBA player. These second-generation kids seem to be disasters that are being forced upon us.
Will not bet on Bronny James winning Rookie of the Year.
It's your son, bro. You know the game of basketball. He ain't ready yet. Why put him in that position?
I just looked it up. G League top scorers, points per game. I went through 50 and there's no Bronny James in there. He had 140-point game. The other games were 1. So now you do the math, and it's not going to be in the top 50. I don't even know who is this. Bryce McGowan, Elijah Harkles, Trey Alexander, DJ Davidson. Never heard of these kids. But they're dropping 30 a night in G League. Why is Bronny sitting on the bench?
That last line didn't just ask a question, it detonated one. And now the entire basketball world is scrambling to answer it. The Bronny James story was supposed to be one of the most feel-good chapters in NBA history. Father and son, same team, same jersey, same court, a moment decades in the making, a moment LeBron James had been publicly chasing for years before it actually happened. But somewhere between the draft night cameras and the opening night spotlight, the fairy tale started cracking. Right now, in 2026, Bronny James is averaging under 2 points per night through 15 games. Most of those points came in garbage time. Dead ball minutes, late game clock management, both benches emptied, outcomes already decided. His preseason numbers told the story early: 7 for 28 from the field, 2 for 13 from 3, 8 assists, 8 turnovers. Perfectly balanced in exactly the wrong way. And yet, he holds one of only 15 guaranteed roster spots on the Los Angeles Lakers, a franchise that is not rebuilding. A franchise that is trying to win now. A franchise that game after game has shown through rotations, lineups, and every single coaching decision exactly where Bronny James actually stands. They don't trust him. Not in close games, not in meaningful minutes, not when anything real is on the line. Here's where it gets complicated, because 2 completely different conversations are happening at the same time, and people keep confusing them for each other. The first conversation is about basketball, pure, cold, statistical basketball. The numbers don't lie, and right now, the numbers are brutal. Players in the G League that nobody has ever heard of, names that don't ring a bell, players without famous fathers, players without guaranteed contracts, are putting up 30 points a night while Bronny is watching from the end of a playoff contending bench. The second conversation is about something much bigger: power. Influence, legacy, the way a superstar's gravitational pull can bend the entire basketball ecosystem around a personal storyline. LeBron didn't just whisper his dream of playing alongside his son. He broadcasted publicly, repeatedly, until it stopped being a dream and started being a mission statement that front offices and media narratives had no choice but to organize around. Those 2 conversations keep colliding, and that collision is exactly why this story refuses to die. Some voices, like Gilbert Arenas, argued early on that the NBA is actually the best place for Bronny to develop, that going against elite professionals in practice every day, grinding alongside players like D'Angelo Russell, accelerates growth faster than staying in college ever could. His opponent in that debate, Rashard McCants, pushed back hard, arguing the exact opposite, that staying in college longer would have built a stronger foundation, so that by the time Bronny arrived in the NBA, he would have arrived ready, instead of arriving raw. Both arguments have merit. Neither argument changes what's actually happening on the court right now.
The game is passive all the way around. Everything is secondary to him. And it's just this awkward thing. When he's supposed to shoot it, he passes. When he's supposed to pass it,
The only reason Bronny James has a contract with the Lakers is his father. Just say it for what it is.
That quote hits different when you watch the film, because it's not just one bad game or one cold stretch. It's a pattern, a consistent, repeating, impossible-to-ignore pattern of a player who hasn't figured out his identity yet, in a league that will absolutely destroy anyone who hesitates. Then came the moment that quietly said everything without a single press conference or official statement. The Lakers needed guards, real guards. Luka Doncic was out, Gabe Vincent was out, Austin Reeves was banged up. The backcourt was thin, the game still had weight, and J.J. Redick had a decision to make about who he trusted when it actually mattered. He started Nick Smith Jr. Let that land for a second. Nick Smith Jr., a guard who had already been waived by Charlotte before finishing his rookie deal, a player with shaky numbers, defensive questions, and no guaranteed future anywhere in the league. The Lakers quietly signed him on a two-way deal. No spotlight, no headlines, no viral moments. And when the pressure arrived, when the coaching staff had to choose who they believed in for real NBA minutes, they chose him over Bronny James. That decision wasn't random. That wasn't rotation strategy or a matchup quirk. That was a statement delivered in the loudest possible silence. When the Suns pushed the lead and the result was already sealed, that's when Bronny finally checked in. 9 minutes left. Outcome decided. End of game clock management. The message could not have been more clear if it had been written across a billboard outside Crypto.com arena.
I just looked it up. G League top scorers, points per game. I went through 50 and there's no Bronny James in there. He had 140-point game. The other games were 1. So now you do the math, and it's not going to be in the top 50. I don't even know who is this. Bryce McGowan, Elijah Harkles, Trey Alexander, DJ Davidson. Never heard of these kids. But they're dropping 30 a night in G League. Why is Bronny sitting on the bench?
And this isn't a one-night story. It's a weekly pattern now. If the game is close, he's watching. If the moment matters, he's sitting. If something real is on the line, he's not part of it.
He's not an NBA player. He was not a great high school player. He was a good high school player. He wasn't a good college player. He was a college player. And he's not an NBA player. And he may be a great kid. I'm sure he is. LeBron's a nice guy. I've met him.
This guy is not an NBA player.
That clip went viral instantly. Not because it was shocking to every basketball mind paying attention, but because that level of blunt, unfiltered honesty about Bronny James almost never makes it past the editorial filters of mainstream sports media. ESPN won't say it. First Take dances around it. Get Up changes the subject. But when someone finally just states it plainly, the internet catches fire, because millions of people had been thinking it and waiting for someone credible enough to say it out loud. Here's why this matters beyond one rookie's development arc. The Lakers are a win-now team. They are not a rebuilding organization with the luxury of carrying a project player on a guaranteed roster spot for the sake of a family narrative. Every single roster decision they make sends a signal to the locker room. It sends a signal to veterans grinding for playoff positioning. It sends a signal to the rest of the league watching closely to see how Los Angeles navigates the most complicated roster situation in basketball. And the signal coming out of LA right now is undeniable. They are not using that roster spot to win basketball games. They're using it to honor a storyline. NBA players notice everything. Every minute distribution, every lineup decision, every time a coach searches through awkward combinations and experimental rotations without ever glancing toward the end of the bench where Bronny sits. Veterans who fought their way into this league on two-way contracts and 10-day deals and overseas grinding seasons understand exactly what it means when someone holds a roster spot that wasn't fully earned through production. The locker room code doesn't need to be written down. Everybody already knows it. And February is coming. The trade deadline doesn't care about father-son storylines. It doesn't pause for historic moments or emotional narratives. Front offices run cap math, not sentiment. And as the deadline tightens, every contract on a roster becomes one of two things: leverage or liability. Right now, Bronny's contract is a complicated question the Lakers haven't answered yet. What happens to that roster spot when LeBron's chapter eventually closes? What happens to the protective layer surrounding this situation when the king is no longer on the roster? The evaluation becomes straightforward overnight. Same standards, same accountability, same ruthless NBA math that every other player faces without a famous name attached to their jersey. There are players in the G League right now who could give the Lakers immediate production. Defensive specialists, energy guards who flip the pace the second they hit the floor, floor spacers who understand their role and execute it without hesitation. Those players don't get soft landings. They don't get narrative protection. They show impact fast, or the opportunity disappears just as quickly. Meanwhile, one of the Lakers' 15 roster spots belongs to a player the coaching staff hasn't trusted in a meaningful NBA moment since November. So here's the question that everyone is circling, but nobody wants to answer directly.
Are we stuck with Bronny Jr.?
Is Bronny James still on this roster because JJ Redick genuinely believes in his long-term development? Or is he still here because cutting LeBron James' son is a conversation nobody inside that building is willing to have yet? Those are two completely different realities, and only one of them is actually about basketball. Development in this league is a fragile process. Young guards need real reps. They need coaches to trust them in pressure situations. They need to make mistakes when something is actually on the line, then adjust, then grow. That process hasn't started for Bronny James yet. He's officially on the roster, but not truly inside the plan. That's not development, that's preservation of a storyline. The NBA always reveals the truth eventually. Narratives fade, headlines disappear, marketing campaigns move on to the next thing. But production on the court, that's the one currency that never loses its value in this league. Bronny James is young. The window isn't closed. One breakout stretch, one energetic performance in a real moment, one night where he forces a coaching staff to start reconsidering everything, that's all it takes in this league. Stories flip fast. Narratives reverse overnight. The same crowd demanding answers can become believers by morning if the tape supports it. But that night hasn't arrived yet. Yet every week it doesn't arrive, the question grows louder, echoes further, and becomes harder for everyone inside the Lakers organization to pretend they don't hear it. Why is he still here?